Okay, what's up, everybody? It's June 26th, and this is my weekly recap. So it's always tough, I feel like, when I think about doing a weekly recap, to even think back to how my week went, which probably is my fault. I should be better at like keeping track of what's happening and what we're working on and what we've accomplished. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like I didn't really make any killer progress this week. My kids were sick, and so that threw a wrench in some work some days. I mean, I still got plenty of work done. I guess the first thing is like we bounced back from on a sales front the past 2 weeks. So I think last week we closed 1,100 in new MRR. This week we closed 1,850 plus an upgrade that wasn't part of that. It was like I think it was a $500 or $1,000 upgrade. So it's good, right? We're getting back in the swing of things from a sales standpoint. I knew that would happen because, my key sales guy, he had been on vacation for like 3 weeks in May. And anytime that you just abandon your pipeline for 3 weeks, which is totally warranted, right? Like he deserves vacation, and I'm glad he had a good time. But like anytime that happens, there's always a lull getting back into things, right? Like your pipeline was shut off, and so he came back and closed a couple little deals, and then it took a while to get these deals flowing again because he had to get them back into his pipeline at the top, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get deals closed. So yeah, awesome to see the past 2 weeks things moving in the right direction. I think we like briefly tipped over like 120 in MRR and then came back down on like a downgrade. So we're probably just under 120 right now, maybe like 119, 119.5 or something like that. So yeah, sales, great. Like super stoked about that. I put out a tweet just like a half hour ago. So this is top of mind, and I think it's relevant, but on the sales front, something I did 6-7 months ago, it was actually at the end of November. But a lot of people will ask us like how our cold calling works, right? Like cold calling is hard, and you don't get leads from it, and it can be expensive, whatever, right? Like, so a lot of people want to know like, well, how do you make cold calling work? And we make cold calling work in a number of ways. The first is just sheer volume, right? You have to get a lot of volume out. And so we have 3 full-time cold callers right now. We've had as many as 5 this year. I think a couple of years ago, we had as many as 6. And I'm always like down to hire a cold caller to see if they're going to be really good. And right now it's like we've got 3 really good cold callers. Each of them is making about 250 calls every day, 200 to 250 calls every day. They work 6-hour days. So we're getting a ton of calls out every day, which makes a huge difference from a volume standpoint. Like you just have to hit your volume numbers. So that's one thing. The second thing that makes cold calling work for us is that we have a lower ticket service, right? So it's not that often that we close like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 deals off of cold calling. And the reason is that like a lot of the people we reach via cold call don't have gatekeepers. They're like small operations, oftentimes owner operated. The owner's picking up the phone. We're getting through to the decision maker on these cold calls. Naturally, it just forces us into a lower ticket service. Now, we do have higher ticket packages, but we'll often sell those through upgrades or email. We do have a little bit of email marketing going. I think it's contributed about maybe 5,000 of MRR this year. So there's something there, right? And like those tend to be bigger deals, and it's because we get through the decision maker to their email. Where with cold calling, like, bigger companies that can afford to spend $1,500, $2,000 a month on SEO, like they have somebody else answering the phone who gatekeeps, and our team in the Philippines can't get through gatekeepers. That's the second thing that like makes cold calling work for us. The thing that I wanted to bring up that I just tweeted about that I'm kind of stoked about is our list building. Right. So in November, I built out a database with all of our prospects. Like when I say prospects, it's like people that we want to call, people that could be on a list. And, we enrich that as best we can. I probably could be better, but like we enrich it with emails and whether or not they fit our ICP and, Google data, like stuff like that. And then the biggest unlock was that I took all of our call data. We use Kixi for calling. So I took all of our call data and added it to the database. And then every single night, I get an email with our call history for the previous day, and that gets automatically added to the database. So every single day, that database is growing. We've got something like 550,000 calls in that database. Because of this database, like now I can just pop open, like for example, we have 3 lists. We call Eastern time zone list, Central Mountain together as one list, and we call Pacific as a third list. And like we ran out of companies to call on our Eastern time zone list and our Pacific time zone list. And so I just like pop open the database. I already have a query built out. It's set to pull together like people who fit our ICP, They haven't been marked as bad number. They haven't been marked as a phone tree, and they haven't said they weren't interested in the last 90 days. And I just like pull that together and upload it right to Kixi. So what used to take me about like an hour to be like doing VLOOKUPs in Excel, and like now it's just done in like 5 minutes from this database, and it's so much better. So I think what I put out on Twitter was like all of 2025, basically before we had this, our connection rate was like 10.8%. Since we implemented like this list building mechanism with the database, our connection rate has gone up to like 24% or something like that, which is awesome, right? We're getting through to people at a higher clip. Our lead to call ratio like hasn't changed a ton, but it's like we're getting through to people better, which gets better data into our database, whether they're not interested or whether it's a phone tree or I don't know. It's better. And the biggest thing is it saves me a lot of time. So that was a good win this week. It's like I don't normally build those lists, but I'm going to try and get through these lists a little faster, changing a couple of things with how the SDR's workflow goes. But yeah, so that's pretty rad. Other things, I was a little frustrated this week. I'm working a ton in Claude Code now. And there's a few things that are kind of bugging me about it. Now, obviously, I think it's rad still, but it feels like, man, I'm just sitting at my computer clicking allow. Even when I click always allow, it still asks me again. You know, I'm like, stop asking me, please. I said always allow. So that's been kind of frustrating. The things that I'm working on mostly, we're still nailing down our workflow for moving all of our websites from Duda, our current platform. We spend like $4,000 a month on that, to like custom built code bases hosted through Cloudflare, which is going to cost us like nothing. So the sites actually are better. They're faster, right? Like the Core Web Vitals are better because they're not bogged down with a bunch of JavaScript that is just required on the Duda platform. And I actually think they even look a little better. You know, I don't really have like a great team of designers. You know, we built out like 20 or 25 templates that we pre-designed, like me and my core web manager. And we kind of just leverage those and tweak the design as needed. Where now it's like with AI, we have this like Mobbin plugin. So we can actually like pick things in Mobbin and like bring those into Claude and say, hey, can you design it kind of with this in mind, like these general principles? So I think they look awesome, they work faster, and it's going to cost us next to nothing, right? So we're going to end up saving like $4,000 a month on websites, which is sweet. That's in flight. We're working on that. And then the other thing I'm working on is building review software, which is something I want to like plug all of our customers into. We have it kind of set up through High Level. I'm not a huge High Level user, but my team does use it. And so we have review automation set up there. I think it's a little janky, and I want to have something that's a little more robust and works better. That's something that like I think AI can code super well. So right now I'm just waiting to like get all the numbers verified through Twilio and trying to get access to the GBP API through Google. But yeah, I just feel like I'm sitting there clicking allow, and it's mind numbing. And the worst part is it's like it wants like 60 seconds between every allow. So it's like I just get distracted, and I'm like, yeah, I just feel like I'm sitting at a computer doing nothing all day, which is frustrating. The other piece to it is I'm like, sometimes as I start to read more carefully what it's doing, I've started to recognize like, you don't need to do that. Like, why are you like triple verifying stuff? I can just open the link up and tell you it looks how I want it to look, or it accomplished what I needed to accomplish and confirm, versus you like trying 3 different times to confirm it. So that's kind of frustrating. You know, all to say, I think it's great, but I want to get better. And one of the things I was working on this week was like getting better at setting up the infrastructure for Claude Code so that, you know, it's not asking me for API tokens in every session. It's like, okay, I have that stored, you know, at the user level where it can just go and pull them. I think I could be better with skills and like breaking things down into really simple steps that are really good guardrails up. So like keyword research, for example, it's like when we close a new customer, we want to do keyword research. Rather than having that as part of this like big onboarding workflow, I want to really hone in on what's the exact way I want keyword research done. And it's going to be a single skill that we point to and say, hey, go check out this skill and apply it to this customer with these services in this area, and come back with all the keyword research we want. So I think it will just get better and better with time. But one of my takeaways this week was like, it's not going to just do everything I want it to do all the time the way I want it. Like I probably have to think more critically and be like a power user of AI versus just like sitting there clicking buttons, letting it do whatever it wants, because it will kind of get carried away and not always build things as well as they should be built. So that's kind of like some updates from work this week. There's always little things that are frustrating and figuring out, but we're getting better. So that's good. On a personal front, another week, no sugar, no gluten. I swear it's like actually getting pretty easy at this point. Like today, I went to the beach with my wife today on a little date. We had like cheese and chicken quesadillas, some buffalo chicken dip with carrots on the beach. And I'm like, man, I could eat this way indefinitely. Like, I feel like I'm eating everything I want to eat. The best thing I'll say, and some people might say this is cheating, but there's this ice cream called, I think it's like ice cream for bears, and it has no sugar. It's just sweetened with honey. So it's like grossly expensive ice cream. I think I paid like $10 for a pint of ice cream today. And, I'm going to eat some of that when I watch a movie with my wife tonight. So yeah, she thinks it's kind of cheating. I've had one pint of it, and I stretched it over like 3 days. The whole pint, which is rare for me. I'm kind of like hey, open a pint of Ben & Jerry's and throw the top away right away kind of guy. But I'm like, okay, if I can eat ice cream like sweetened with honey, then I'm like, yeah, I can do this forever, because I'll be able to have ice cream once every week or two. Anyway, that's going all super good, and I'm getting some blood work done next week. So hopefully, I can notice a difference in my blood from having done no sugar and no gluten from the past 4 weeks. So kids are starting to feel better, and weekend's coming up. It's sunny, lots to look forward to. If anybody has any questions or comments or like ideas for some of the stuff I talked about and how we can make it better, like please hit me up, shoot me an email. Like the whole point of this is like connecting with people. So don't hesitate to hit me up. I think that's it for the week.